Welcome back to the Eric Krown Crypto channel. Wishing you a happy early start to this nice big Tuesday, baby. It's a big Tuesday. A lot of higher term timeframes closing today, which is going to likely set into motion things for the next 10 to 20 days in the more short term, and then potentially set off a chain of reaction for the next month and a half, of which we'll be following up on the statistics regarding these sort of setups that we've been looking at, which again could be clarified as soon as tonight. Other than that, I want to say no more sale. There's no more sale, baby. But I do want to say and give one last notice that the whitelist for the algo that we've been working on based off of the Quant strategies is going to be going, well, it is live. The actual service itself will be live as of next week, assuming everything goes to plan. So, of course, if you're interested in such things, first and foremost, you must actually be in the Quant program. We're not going to be taking anyone outside of it because you actually need to know how the strategies work. Otherwise, you're going to be really, really confused and probably cause yourself some issues. And then three, I don't know what number I'm at right now, but please follow the directions that I'm about to lay out. It is actually pinned in the Quant program Discord if you just want a very easy way of getting it. But if you're interested in it, please email elsa@crownjunior.net, and I want you to give up 5 pieces of information. 1, your email. 2, have you ever used a bot before? 3, how many years have you traded? 4, what exchange do you trade on? 5, have you finished the Quant program? And 6, what is your account size that you would be trading with? Now, obviously, you're not going to start off with that size. Like you should start off small, but ideally, you'd have at least 50,000 in equity. If you don't have 50,000, I would strongly suggest this service is not for you, because I would fear that you're not going to have a good experience with it, because you need to recoup the service cost, which, yes, there will be a cost every month, and that is going to be listed in the Quant program. So there you go. All right, sweet. Now that we've gone through that, let's get into the actual price action charts. So starting off right in over here, we have the 5-day time frame. The 5-day time frame is having a closure tonight and was first giving us a bias for a pullback based off of the 5-day CME, also the weekly as well, on spot price action, coming off of that hit towards $28,500, and of course the CME gap that we saw on the daily here from June. Now comes into question the next closure, which is going to be tonight on spot price action, and it's going to have a chance to close above the topside band. Why is that relevant? Why are we even talking about this? The reason why we're talking about this is because anytime that we've seen the Gaussian channel turn red and then Bitcoin get its first closure above the topside band, as we saw over here and over here more recently, there's been some pretty significant runs to follow, of which I've back tested all of the prior 1, 2, 3, 4 iterations. This would be number 5, obviously, and we can go reference the data, the good old data over here. So not that many iterations, to be fair, but there is some interesting stuff with them. First and foremost, I am measuring from the top side of the channel on breakout to the first major high. So in this case, for this one, I measured from here to here, not to the overall high. And for this one over here, I measured from, again, top side of the channel to the high of this run, so on and so forth. You get the idea. All right, so going into the data with those 4 past iterations, first and foremost, the average return for them was 47%. Now you'll notice that there were kind of a good spread actually of results here. The most recent one coming off of the Rona dump and then pump was the lowest of those at about 26%, and the highest one was the first one actually at about 68.5%. Anyways, the amount of time taken towards that next major high was actually pretty evenly spread, actually. 20 days popped up on the first 2 of them, or the 2 most recent, I should say, and then 10 and 35, so giving us an average about 21 days. So we would be saying, hey, if this happens, if Bitcoin closes above the topside channel end of day today, then from the top side of the channel to the next high, we're probably looking at somewhere around 20 days, give or take a little bit from that number. For an average return, I'd probably round down here, not 47%. That's a little bit too moonboyish for me, or at least, I mean, I am just reading the data at the end of the day, but personally speaking, I think that would be like kind of, a lot, if you will. But 47% would actually put you, That's too damn much, man. That's too damn much. What would like 30% put you at? Yeah, that's more reasonable, kind of. low $30,000 territory over the next 20, maybe even as much as 35 days. Again, going off of the data that we have right here, which is, again, it's not that much. Now, what I do want you to know is that of the 4 past iterations, 3 of those have come back down and retested the top side of the Gaussian channel before actually continuing on for more. For example, this would be a perfect one right here, right? Has an initial run for the first 20 days, and then literally 20 days later from the high to the next low was about a 22% Dombola retest the top side of the band. So, long term, is this going to be like a V run? Very unlikely, very, very unlikely. But it can go for, a good amount of, it can go for, a good amount. So, I've also taken an average of the time until the next lows. There was certainly an outlier right here at 125 days for the second most recent one, but the other 2 were 20 and 10 days respectively. And then one of them did not retest the top side of the band, but that might kind of be a judgment call because it was the first one here. And you can see there was a nice spike down after this major high was hit. And maybe this could have just been a factor that the price action data was too young during this time to like accurately populate. So this kind of would have counted as it. So probably, would have worked out in that fashion, just my personal opinion. So the picture that I'm trying to paint is that there's a high probability that we'd actually see it pop back down and retest the top side of the channel. Typically happens, or not typically, but always happens after the channel itself turns green. So once that happens, it's actually like, okay, we're probably going to retest it. So, hold on to your assholes. Anyways, so now that we've gone through that, that's going to be, again, potentially clarified as soon as tonight. And any sort of a closure above about 26,500 will do it. And very, very short term, we could actually see a retest back down somewhere around about 26.5, 26.6. Sorry, did I say the top side was 25.6? No, it's 26.5, 26.5. My dyslexia is like, it's a real issue with these sort of things. I thought you said this, like I did, or at least I thought I did, but I literally am retarded. Sorry. Oh man. In the scientific sense, okay? So relax, YouTube. It's going to be all right. I'm like held back. No, I seriously do have a problem. Anyways, yes. So now we've gone through that. I want to once again revisit this chart over here to kind of thread this into a more long-term view of this, potentially more long-term view of this. This is the volatility versus stochastic momentum signature, which is going to have a chance to, be hinting at the first sort of stretch of 5-day expansion on volatility. So what essentially we're looking at? Well, first and foremost, we're looking at extreme lows, extreme contraction on 5-day volatility. Extreme contraction is usually followed by extreme expansion, as we saw back in January was the most recent one, and then several times before that, obviously, within this past couple of years spread. I've gone ahead and backtested all the prior ones and found that there's been an average return about 40%. Kind of depends whether it's going to be short or long, but on the long side, around about 40%. And the direction of the stochastic oscillator when volatility is officially expanding, which it is not right now. But the direction of the stochastic oscillator has a high probability of, begetting the direction for the volatility expansion. Anyways, for tonight's closure for the 5-day, if Bitcoin closes above 26,700, 5-day stochastic oscillator remains with upside posturing, thus expansion, if it does happen, very likely going to favor upside continuation. What would expansion be confirmed by? I mean, I really want to see it get above the moving average. In this case, on a closing basis, which is probably not going to happen on this one, but you can see that it get quite close. People trade this in many different ways, or not at all. I would be in the not at all camp because it's like way too out of a time frame for me. But you can front run these things. You can wait. Obviously, that's going to come with its own pros and cons. But if we go and reference the data over here for the long side, and again, this one it's not. We haven't confirmed expansion just yet. So the 5-day stochastic oscillator could turn to the downside, of which you're probably looking at like a 30% move to the downside, which would take Bitcoin back down to like 17 or 18,000 bucks. But in this case, for the long side, and as long as the stochastic oscillator is pointed to the upside, I guess it's more relevant, statistically speaking. We've seen on average about a 33-day rally with an average return of above 40%. And that was taken from the low, actually. So in this case, it would start from right here. and 43% would put you in like the low $30,000 territory. Keep in mind though that because on average this has taken about 33 days, we'd literally be on the first like 5 to 10 day stint of this one. So, that would be an outlier in terms of like what we expect. I mean, we've never seen one take like 10 days, for example, or even 15 days. The lowest that we've seen it take is 20 days. So it would be relevant, in my opinion, to say that if we do start to see volatility expansion, it's probably going to go for the upside of the first standard deviation, which would be, closer to like 50 to 53%, which would look something a little bit more like this, which would put Bitcoin at about 32-ish, basically around the May rejective highs right here before getting absolutely fucking boo-caked down to new lows. So yeah. Anyways, again, this one is less interesting than what we do see on the Gaussian channel. Sorry, I should be looking at this one over here, but you get the idea. Anyways, for right now, we'd still be favoring the boo laws as far as that goes. Because all of the volatility expansions that have been with the 5-day stochastic oscillator point of the upside have actually followed through with upside. Like it's been a 100% hit rate over 11 iterations, which, to be fair, we don't expect that to always be 100%. Like it's very unlikely. The short side does have a lower hit rate, 8 out of 10 played out with downside, major downside, with an average return of about 35% actually. So, if Bitcoin basically kind of stumbles here a little bit, then that would increase the probability that we actually do see this come back down. But for right now, still going to be favoring the upside. Anyways, ending on the HPDR indicator over here. Same thing as before, basically, does suggest that the daily range lows at 26,750 sounds familiar, right, for the 5-day stochastic oscillator, would be a bit of a daily change behavior and likely beget a greater pullback, somewhere back down to like 25.5, maybe 25 even or so. And at that point, maybe there is maybe there is a major trap. Now, I would not call a trap until you start to get daily closures below $25,000. At that point, you're probably going to see the 5-day play out to the downside if that were to happen. But for right now, just be aware that on the daily, problems below 26,700 on a closing basis. Until then, probably plays within this range right here, which, what do you know? The top side of the range, about $30,000 or just below it. So, of course, tomorrow's event's going to massively influence price action as it typically does with FOMC. Just have to survive that. And I suspect that we'll have clarity on the situation. We'll have clarity on the situation hopefully as soon as tonight. Anyways, I'm going to leave things right there. Once again, I want to wish you the best as always. What? Elsa wants people to know, for the whitelist fuckers, that she can't respond to everyone personally because there was too many, honestly. But just understand that you've been added if you fit the criteria. And again, I would humbly request that if you are going to sign up to the whitelist, please fit the criteria. Like, you must have taken the Quant program because you need to know how these strategies work. And ideally, you trade on Bybit because that's where the API hooks are. That's where the, that's where the bot is like easy to hook up to. And what else? And you can also get the lowest fees, which is really fucking important. And then what else? And then, yes, your account size as well, because, I want to make sure that you have like a good, you want to be able to actually recoup the service fee. So yeah. Anyways, with that said, take care, much love, and see you hopefully soon.